this week's episode of the Rays of Hope program, and we are glad that you are tuned in. Remember, you can stream live on Facebook and also on YouTube, CAC TV Kenya. Again, I say welcome. I'm Lucy Waweru, and today we are discussing the topic, all that glitters is not gold, diaspora attitudes and opportunities. Surely you don't want to miss that. That is very interesting. And with me here are two wonderful ladies, wonderful, beautiful young ladies. And it's so good to have you here. And on my right, we have Mercy Macau, who is a business lady. Mercy, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
And thank you for finding time to be here. Please say hello to the viewer.
Well, hello. Yes, as Pastor Lucy has said, my name is Mercy Macau. Yes, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Wonderful. On my left is another beautiful and young lady by the name Dorcas Mwangi, who is a student and also a business lady, and she'll tell us more about it. Please say hello to the viewer.
Hello, viewers. As Pastor Lucy said, my name is Dorcas Mwangi, and I'm also glad to be here with you today.
All that glitters is not gold. Of course, we know that statement. But what comes to your mind? We just say, all that glitters is not gold. How do you understand that?
Something could be looking, precious or lovely, but then it turns out not to be. Yes.
So the glitter.
Yeah. So the glitter is just like a facade.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and then maybe, or like food, you look so good on the plate, but once you take a bite, you're like, oh my. Yeah.
For example, that the grass is not always greener on the other side, and that the grass is actually greener where you choose to water it.
Wow. That all that glitters is not gold. Sometimes we think that being in diaspora is so precious, like we can go picking dollars and sterling pounds all over. And sometimes young people especially have this romanticized view of being away from Kenya. And sometimes we do not appreciate what we have. And that's what we want to discuss. Hence the attitudes and opportunities. Of course, there are opportunities. But again, we also need to work on our attitudes as we do that. But first, let's get to know you better. You're a student.
Yeah.
You're a business lady.
Yeah.
So what do you study? Where do you study? When did you start studying? When did you start this business?
I started university in the UK. All my degrees are in the UK. I started first with a degree in politics from the University of Chester. And then I moved to Birmingham and I joined the University of Law, but the Birmingham campus, and I did a graduate diploma in law. And then after that, I did a master's in Coventry University in international relations. And then I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is another degree, still and now in Birmingham, University of Law campus. And I'm now doing the license to practice law course with a master's in law.
As someone watching there might be wondering, okay, those are many degrees. So how do they link up politics, international law, and all that?
Politics is my passion. I'm very much an enthusiast of African development and, Africa actually now becoming and actually realizing what it is and its power. And for us in Africa to actually, do things for ourselves and not always rely on the Western world. So as you learn these things and get into the politics of it, you also learn that it's important to know the law behind things. Very much government also includes the judicial aspect of things and the executive government. So all of them marry together, and it's as you make the laws, you need to also know the laws. You need to understand them. As you make the laws, you need to understand what laws are there and what laws actually hinder people from progressing. So you actually need an understanding of law. You need an understanding of how the law works, so that you know how to best make laws for the country. And so that's where my sort of interest for law came about. Whilst doing politics, is I found that, okay, I need to understand law more so that I can get a better idea on how to actually think about making policies, if that's what I want to do, and development in a way that's suitable. Yeah.
Wow, it now makes sense. And of course, the international part of it
Yeah.
ties in.
International relations, yes, again, for me, I've always been interested in why is it that Africa isn't reaching its full potential, in my opinion. I've always found that we have so much foreign aid coming, and like we're not progressing. All these loans we have, we're in debt to so many Western organizations and donors. And I, part of my research when I was doing my master's dissertation was to find out why is foreign aid to Africa ineffective. So whilst doing that, it made me want to. Sorry, I forgot the question you asked.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
It ties in.
Yeah.
It actually ties in that you are doing international relations because the policies from one place to another actually affects.
Exactly.
And then understanding the law.
And how also countries get together to come up with, the relations of the world. Like, okay, they're helping African countries, how are they doing it? What is the relationship between the two countries? So that's where the international relations come into play. And also ties in with my whole passion for Africa and why is it not at its potential? Why is it not, why is it not making more money? Why are we in poverty when we have a continent full of minerals and riches? So, yeah.
Wow. Sometimes it's possible to feel desperate with the way things are. Like we're in debt. I don't know, we have to pay for how long and all this. But when I listen to such bright young minds that are optimistic, that are preparing to actually emancipate, our continent and our country, I am so hopeful. That's why we're here on Rays of Hope. Here is a ray of hope. We'll talk later about your business pursuit. How are you balancing all this? But Mercy, the last I checked, you were in social work, and that's and then the next thing I knew, you were somewhere in the States.
Yes, I have a degree, a bachelor's in social work, and also have a master's in religious studies. And in all my years of working, I've worked in a church. Actually, I've worked in various churches. Yes, I work with children, teenagers. Yes, that's where my passion is, and that's what had taken me to the US actually, to work with a church, helping them coordinate their children's activities. Yes.
So still the passion.
Yes.
Someone is wondering, how did you get to work in the US? Did they know you?
No. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. Actually, when I was in my previous job at Lavington United Church, my contract was coming to an end and I just wanted to do something different. I'd worked for Lavington for like 12 years and I was like, let me just do something different. And just by myself on Google, I was Googling. Actually, I was looking for a summer camp because as I've said, my interest and my passion is children. So I was like, let me find a church in the US, go work there in a summer camp. Then when I come back to Kenya, then I'll figure out what to do. But once I found these people on Google, and I applied and they liked me, we liked each other. They were like, okay, come and visit, find out what we do, see if you'll be interested. And then that began my journey for 4.5 years. Wow. Yeah, my journey for a summer camp turned out to be 4.5 years in the US. Yes.
When did you come back home?
I came back last year in October 2020.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah, my imagination is that you have a lot of dollars at the moment. That's why I was interested to know when you came back home. Because that's just November.
Yes.
So you really have not spent it all.
No, you never know.
we'll hear more about that. But, okay, you're also both in business. I'm very interested in that, how you're juggling all this. And what kind of business are you doing?
I'm ended up joining my family business that deals with gemstones. So I decided to join them with that, but now also create my own lane and focus on jewelry making. So I will make jewelry and make specifically custom made jewelry for clients with gemstones that we have. So that's my main focus and that's the business that I'm doing.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, gemstones in general, I want to say I was pretty much born into the business. Because when I was born, my parents were in the industry. So I remember as a kid always going with them to the office, always traveling with them when it came to business trips. So I want to say unofficially, I've been in it my whole life. But officially, I started my jewelry line last year in, I want to say it's September, October, there. Yeah. So where now I started making specifically custom made jewelry and designing jewelry.
Yeah. When this pandemic is also, obviously you don't have opportunities maybe to meet people face to face as much. So how are you doing this business then?
Instagram is one of my best friends. So if you go on Instagram and click onto the profile Dos Gems International, you'll find us there. So you can see some of our jewelry, and you can also message me and I'll be able to respond to you and talk to you further about any designs that you have in mind and any jewelry that you'd like to create. And even if it's also just buying loose gemstones, we also have that available.
I'm so happy because I didn't know about all these treasures and all that. And now again, you come in here and you are in that line of business using gems, gemstones and all that. I just learned the other day that, they even stones for our, what do you call them? For our bath. Like a bath stone. Bath stones, the 12 tribes of Israel and all that and all that. There's a lot of riches in there. And so how is the business so far?
It's been a bit slow, but it's also been picking. I'm seeing a lot of people gaining an interest, and which is good for me. So I've been able to talk to people, find out what stones do they know about, what stones don't they know about. And like you said, it's funny that in a continent and land that, we have these things just so, so readily available almost to us because they're in our continent. It's funny that the most famous jewelry shops and brands are usually foreign ones. Like everyone knows about Tiffany's, everyone knows about Rolex, yet this is the land where they come from. So it's funny that we haven't had local jewelry lines and jewelry shops actually being, put out there. And I think getting as much attention as they should. And I think they should because this is where it's from. A lot of it is from here. Kenya, I think we're lucky to be the place where Savarite was discovered. So I think that's something we can take pride in and be like, okay, we have a gemstone that was discovered in our country and it's one of the most expensive garnets in the world. So things like that, it's also educating our Kenyans on what we have and then them taking pride in it. And then also being able to know that they can also put their creativity in it and design jewelry for themselves. And, we're here, we're ready to help their visions come true because we have all these things available here,
And that's part of the journey of our emancipation as well. And I see that tying in with your studies and all that. So you'll be able to do that alongside your studies.
And that's part of the reason also why I decided to come home and focus on the family business. Being abroad and seeing the job market there, it's good, but still I was like, there has to be more. There's more than the 9-to-5 sort of life. And I thought, why not come back home? Like, what is it that we're lacking? There's nothing. So, I'm fortunate that my parents had this business already. So when I came in, I was like, where do I fit in and where do I want to sort of put myself in? And that's a place that I found fitting for me. And in terms of doing it with school, it would be definitely possible for me. It's something that I'd also want to take there and share. But now also, instead of making it such a thing that it's, a foreign business, I would love for it to have the Kenyan stamp on it. So when people come and buy the jewelry, they can see that this is from Kenya. They can know, what mine it came from. There's that sort of transparency, which a lot of these big companies don't have, but we're able to do that because we'll do everything from A to B. We mine the stones. We put them into the jewelry. We have everything set in stone and transparent as to how we do the whole process. You can see the people that actually work in the mine. So that's something I would love to bring to the UK for them to see and for them to see that the jewels aren't always Tiffany's. They aren't always Rolex. Actually, this is where it's really at.
Kenya.
And what they look like.
Oh, I'm loving this. This gives us hope. This hope. I mean, for a long time we've been termed as the third world. The dark continent with all these riches. It's so dark about us. So Mercy, you had an opportunity to be in the land of opportunities, as they call it. So we would love to hear whether that was really the case. These opportunities that we talk about, are they as many? But also, you came back home that pretty fast, while people here, young people here, would want to run away. So how comes you came back, and how did you find your, this newfound interest in business?
So as I said earlier on, so my going to the US was actually like for a short time. But then when I landed there, I saw the church, the opportunity that they were giving me. So we had to apply for a work visa. Yes, because initially when I went with a visitor's visa. And as you know, you cannot work with a visitor's visa. You can't even open a bank account. Nowadays, the US is very, very strict on some of these things. So once we applied for my work visa, it was approved. So I got a religious visa because my background is also in religion. So, and the first year it was approved for 2 years. So I was able to live there and work for 2 years. Then after my 2 years was over, we also renewed. But this time they only gave me a year and a half. So that's why my stay in the US was short, because I know people are like, why did you go to the US and come back? Number one, you have to understand the kind of visa that you have and how long it allows you to stay there. So once my visa was expiring on November the 1st of 2020. But I came back home like 2 or 3 days before my visa expired. Yes. So that's why my time there was short. And then since I always knew I was going to come back home. So the question was, okay, once I come back home, what am I going to do? Am I going to look for a job? Am I going to do my own thing? Yes. So that was a question I grappled with. I was not looking forward to, applying. Then you have to wait for an answer. So I was just like, do I really want to do that? But then the question is, okay, so what business am I going to do? I mean, I've been employed since my 20s. And then here I'm hitting 40. So I'm thinking, okay, what kind of business do I want to begin? So I decided, there's some products I love using when I'm here in the US. When I go to Kenya, I know I'll find them. But I know I'm going to find them, but they're going to be very expensive. So I'm like, okay, first I'm going to ship some, then I'm going to try. Then, there are always some sales. So I was like, okay, let me try and buy some stuff on sale and then come and sell them. Yes, so that's where my business idea came from. Because then I think also the other thing about Kenya is that, I think we are conditioned, to look for jobs and not to create jobs. So I'm like, I don't want to do, what everybody else does. Like, I can make a way for myself and go and just see where I'll be at. Yes. Sometimes you just have to have faith.
So you shipped in your first consignment. How did that go?
Actually, the first one I came with them.
Oh, you came with them?
Yes.
Okay.
The funny thing was that a few weeks before I left, so this company had this sale. Then I'm calling my sister and I'm asking her, so there are these items that are on sale. Do you think a Kenyan will buy for this amount of money? Then my sister is like, do not think for people. I mean, just buy and then see what will happen. So there were shower gels. So I bought many, I packed them in my suitcase. But the funny bit is within 2 weeks, I had nothing to sell. It's always good not to make assumptions. You do not know. It could also be, yes, it's an attitude. It could be there's Corona, but Corona has not affected everybody the same.
No.
There are people who have made a lot of money in this period, while others have not. So my sister was like, do not make any assumptions. You buy and then see. So everything that I had within 2 or 3 weeks, I had sold everything. So I was like, okay. But then also when I was coming, I had a lot of stuff in the US and I had to ship some of my stuff home. So I was like, okay, when I'm shipping my personal stuff, why don't I also ship some stuff to sell? Yes, and the same thing. When I shipped them, they arrived, I sold. I was like, okay, now I'm not looking for a job now. If it's working, yes, let me go.
Wow. So far so good.
Yeah, so far so good.
And I like Dorcas.
Actually,
how
no.
are you doing it?
Yes, okay. Online, kidogo, because that's why I post the stuff. And then obviously I have friends. So actually, I've just been telling to my family and friends or somebody who connects me with somebody else. Oh, this one wanted. Yes. But moving forward, I mean, nowadays everything is like almost online. Got to be where people are making it.
Yeah, actually, another day we had a forum for ministers and we learned that actually the congregation is online, but the pastors are offline. So, but in this case, the business people are online, which is good where the people are. So we're learning a lot on how to leverage on technology, because that's the era we are in. And I like what you're doing, but I also like the fact that you're finding opportunities. you're looking at the gaps, where there are gaps, and quickly you think, what can we do? And what would you say about what Mercy has raised about our education system that teaches us? I'm sure you have a taste of the other system, but this education that teaches us that you have to be employed and all that.
I feel like that's something that's definitely ingrained into people, and that narrows their mind because they think that life can only be lived in a certain way. And what that does, I feel, is sort of hinders someone's potential. Someone who can possibly be able to help come up with a cure for cancer, someone who can possibly be able to, create some of the best products in the world. I feel like a lot of people's creativity is suppressed when you think that life can only be lived in a certain way. For me, I'll say how I've grown up thinking about ways in which people can make money and make a living for themselves and their career has been very multi-dimensional. And again, I'll attribute that to my parents because they've done many things, and my education has been more at home and seeing what my parents have done at home and seeing how they've ventured into different businesses. And so watching that and seeing how that went is where I sort of now picked from and thought that, okay, the 9 to 5 is good. It helps start, you out and you can network from it. But also, is there something else that you want to do? And why not try it? It doesn't always have to be such a linear path. So for me, I've learned a lot from being home and seeing how my parents do. And that's why for me, I have my different passions, when it comes to Africa's development, when it comes to jewelry, when it comes to law. And those are things that I want to explore in my lifetime. And I feel like, we shouldn't place ourselves in the box, and we should dare also to, try out different things and things that we feel that, we sort of have a passion towards.
And I think part of what will liberate us is that knowing that we have what it takes, we have the resources with us here, as you said earlier, and that there are these opportunities that we can take to liberate ourselves economically and in other ways. But let's now get into your experiences abroad and how you compare that with life at home. So packed your bags. By the way, congratulations, you are becoming a YouTuber.
Yes.
Mercy Macau on YouTube. Yeah, I've been following you because you have short videos and they're nice. And you talk about real issues and about your experiences in both worlds. So what was going on in your mind? Did you think there was a lot of gold where you were going? And
So I remember this one time before I even left Kenya and went to the US, I remember seeing for the summer camp how much money we were being paid. Yes, I'm like, oh my goodness, I've hit gold. Oh my goodness, I don't think in my work in Lavington I wasn't paid that much money. But then I was like, so in 6 weeks I'm going to make over $1,500 and I'm like, wow.
Convert that for us?
Yes, and I'm converting to Kenyan shillings. Okay, that's 150. So in my job in Lavington, I was not making that much money. So I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to be so rich. Yeah, until I landed and I got my first check. I was like, what happened to my money? That was a shock. My first check, I almost got a heart attack. I was like, what has happened to my money? And then also the cost of living in the US. If you're leaving Kenya going to another country, when you convert money, it may look like a lot of money. Because when I was converting it, and then I'm converting it with the mind of what am I going to do with 150,000 in Kenya. Yes. But then 150 in America is something totally different. By the time you are taxed, you buy food, all your necessities, or you're like, okay, yeah, my money is gone. So it was very funny. Yes, I did go with that mindset of, oh, yeah, I'm going to make money. But that one quickly dies. Once, the first few months, that idea just dies like a natural death. Yes, and then the other thing I think that used to hit me my first days in America was the loneliness. And then something else if you move from from Kenya to America with your family. It's something else if you move when you're single. So I moved, I was by myself and went to live with strangers. So my employer, the good thing about my package, which now that I've come back home, I sit down and I'm like, thank you, God. Really, God blessed me. So I didn't have to worry about food. I didn't have to worry about a place to stay. I didn't have even to buy a car because I could walk from where we were living to where I was working. It was just like 7 minutes walk. So, but loneliness will hit you like something else. Kenyans are very hospitable. Kenyans can be in your business. Kenyans will be there greeting you. The people I used to live in the same house, and they don't even want you saying good morning. And then, so these are the things now you have to think is culture. It's a Kenyan thing to always greet people. When you move to a different country, how they operate, how they live life is totally different. And what you deem as rude, to them is nothing. They're even wondering, why are you even saying hi? Then others also will say hi to you. So it's something else. So like I would work, then we go to the house. Everybody gets into their own room. We had this big house, many different rooms. You get there, everybody does whatever they're doing. So I'm there. I'm used to family. Let's eat let's eat together. Let's talk. Nobody's talking to you. Everybody cooks for themselves. So that was the other thing that used to shock me. How can I cook? I eat by myself, and the other people in the house.
How do you just keep your things?
Yeah, I'm here cooking. So I cook one chapati. I cook my beef stew. I cook my skuma wiki, and then I don't offer anybody.
You don't share.
No. They used to think actually I'm crazy because I cook for everybody, and I'm like, please eat. But then they don't know if I'm being genuine. Or why am I cooking? Why am I spending hours cooking? And then I just invite them. Let's eat. I'm like, okay, what does she want? They used to be suspicious. Then I'll cook mandazi. I offer them. Somebody just picks one.
Like,
it took like almost like a year or like a few months for them to actually realize I'm actually serious. And I do not want anything back. Because I know some of my family had warned me. You know, when you go there and people offer you something, you have to wonder if they're offering you, hoping you're going to say no, or they're offering and they really mean you to say yes. But I'm like, no, I don't want to play mind games with anybody. If I cook and I offer you, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. So eat.
Well, I think we need to take a break because we want to get deeper into this. Attitudes versus the opportunities. And is our home good enough? As they say, east or west, home is best. Is that the case for us? We will be back. Please don't go away.
Inasemekana mtafutaji hachoki.
Hakuna kazi rahisi, kazi zote ni ngumu.
Hakuna kitu mwanamume anafanya hapa sisi tunashindwa kufanya. Hakuna.
Akichoka kesha pata.
We only get limited in the mind. Exactly. Mimi nasema my space, my creation, I become.
Ungana nasi kwenye kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ambapo tunakuhimiza
Bado safari ipo. Tunang'ang'ana.
Kukuhamasisha.
Jua kali tunatengeneza vitu ambazo zinapatikana katika ila nyumba. Hata nyumba kuu ya Kenya State House utapata mali ya jua kali ziko huko.
Na kukuelimisha kuhusu sekta mbalimbali zinazounda nguzo kuu za uchumi wa nchi kwa jumla.
Kama association tunawahimiza kabisa kila mtu awe na ile card ya insurance ambayo ni ya serikali.
Usikose Kazi na Mali kila siku ya Jumanne saa 1:30 jioni hapa KAK TV.
Welcome back. This is Rays of Hope, and today we are discussing the topic, all that glitters is not gold. All that glitters is not gold. And we're looking at diaspora attitudes and opportunities, because these beautiful young ladies here have lived in both worlds They have experiences, and that's what we are sharing, so that we don't think that what glitters, all that glitters, is always gold. And we are hearing a lot in this conversation. Now, we went for break, Mercy, where we were talking about the mindset.
Yes.
And the stories of hospitality and loneliness.
Kenyans, we are so friendly. We go out of our ways, to greet people, eat together. But then, like, I would find majority of the time, I'd be in the house, I'm eating by myself. I cook. Everybody's doing their own thing. Different lives. We're all living in the same place, but very, very different lives. So you tend to be very, very lonely. My first month, I used to sit there. I'm like, at which point did this seem like a good idea? My leaving home to come here in search of greener pastures, to be lonely, like over the weekend. I have nothing to do. Like in my church, like when I was in Kenya, the church would have things to do on Saturdays or things to do on Sunday. So your life is very, very full. Then in America, it was more of like, I'm either working or I'm at home. Yeah, so that means like majority of the time I'm by myself. And then let's not talk about when like it's winter. I don't want to be caught outside.
No, winter is
terrible. Yeah. But yet, my first few years, they would be like, this is not even bad winter. But for me, it used to be so cold. This one day, I forgot to put something on my face. When I came back, I think my face, I was like, okay, now I'm frozen. It's just funny. And then those times, I don't even want to go out. So that means I'm spending a lot of time in the house. But in the house, who am I talking to? Yes, but then thank God, some Ethiopian guy came to live with us. So, we would laugh. That made actually my stay in the US now more, enjoyable. Because, we would laugh, we are like on Friday, let's do something together. And, the other housemates used to be like, why are they always doing things together? But it's because, we can understand we're coming from an almost like a same culture. So we understand we are lonely. We don't have anybody here. Yeah. So now we became very tight. We cook together. He's cooking this. He calls me, or I'm cooking this. I'm like, okay, come, let's eat together. So, you just find a culture that is just so different from yours. What was like normal to you now here? Oh, yeah, it's just different.
And I liked what Mercy talked about earlier, about also the amount of money that we see out there and we think, nimeomoka sasa. The cost of living also in the UK.
I think often at times, like Mercy had said, it's easy to be blinded by the nice figures that you see, and you think that, okay, here I'm gonna make it now. But one thing that people often forget is that country has its own set of rules and its own way that it runs its economy. And the living standard and cost of living is much higher than it is here. So as much as it may look like you're getting a lot of money, by the time, you get the money in your bank account, it would have been taxed. And then because cost of living is also high, it's not as cheap. It's not like, you're going to save money. You'll end up spending everything just to make sure that you meet your necessities. And so it's also very easy in the Western world to live from paycheck to paycheck, because the amount of money you have has to actually, cover your cost of living, which, like I said, is high as well. So you're not a millionaire when you go there. It's not what you think. Yeah.
And it's good to know that. It's good to get that from you, having experienced life in both sides.
And also to add to that, a lot of people also don't see that. In the Western world, it's easy to get everything on credit. So your whole life could be, I want to say, rented out. Your car can be on credit. You get a credit card. That means, your food is on credit. Everything is on credit. Your house is on credit. You don't own anything. And that's the difference. So I also respect Kenyans and Africans, because that when someone has a car, they've bought that with their money. In Kenya and a lot of African countries, it's you can either afford it or you can't. It's not, okay, I can't afford it, so I'm just going to go and borrow money and pay it off for the next 5 years. It's you either can afford it or not. And that's the thing. I think you look at the Western world and you see people living well, but you also don't know how many of those people have literally gotten everything on credit.
Then of the perceived opportunities, because even getting access to that credit card could be an opportunity, but needs to be managed. So what are your best moments being out there? What are the things you like about being out there?
Systems that work.
Systems that work.
Systems that work. There is, that's for me the upside there is knowing that, okay, you know, things work the way that this is supposed to work. Healthcare works properly. Transport is efficient. I've enjoyed those things. It makes life smoother. You know, you don't really have to worry about calling up government people to follow up, you know, things that you've put in place. It's things are done orderly and in a timely manner, and they're done when they're supposed to be done. So I've enjoyed the easiness of seeing, you know, a government that's working properly, a government that's working the way in which, you know, I feel most governments should be efficient, you know. Number two, I'll say in the UK, and being a student, you get the chance to meet a lot of Africans. And I think one thing that the UK feel and the Western world thinks that Africa is like, I'll know everyone who lives in Nigeria, I'll know everyone who lives in Uganda. And they have very much a blanket approach towards Africa and think that we are one country instead of a continent. So the thing with that is people don't know that we don't really know each other.
The capital city of Africa is Nairobi.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Exactly. So they don't know that we don't know each other that well. You know, I don't know the tribes in South Africa. I actually don't, you know. So going abroad and meeting other Africans and connecting, because we come from the same continent, has been good. And also learning different cultures. You know, it's been very much a lesson for me, seeing, you know, how other Africans do things, their cultures, their different beliefs. So I've enjoyed getting to know citizens of the globe.
Best moments there and what you like about the other side.
Say, for example, like now once I got my work visa, then I had to go and apply for a social security number. So I go, they told me, apply, this is the form, and then go home and wait for it. It will be posted within 2 weeks. So as Dorcas is saying, I'm not calling nobody about what happened to my social security card. In fact, they had told me 2 weeks. I think within a week, it was already posted. So I take that one, going to open my bank account. You know, you're not following up nobody. If anything is not working, or let's say, for example, even sometimes there is a blackout, you call, within a few minutes, something is resolved. You know, you don't have to feel like I have to pay somebody money for them to come and do something that they have said they should do. Yeah, and even the other day I was talking in my YouTube channel, is like, say for example, like I live now in Langata. Sometimes when I go visit my sister, then the matatu says it's going to Kenyatta. Then maybe for some reason they just see a little jam. Traffic jam there near Kenyatta Market. Quickly, because of the way now Nairobi is expanding the roads, there's a way now they can pass going to town without having to go into Kenyatta. But then they inconvenience somebody. But and the other day I was just thinking, so just imagine it's a foreigner who knows that getting to this matatu is supposed to go this way. Then they take a different route. Then this person now is like at a loss. Where am I going? So that's one thing I used to love about America. This bus is number 87. It goes in this direction. There's nothing that is making that bus change from the direction it's supposed to be going. You know, so sometimes I get, and I'm so offended, then I'm like, anyway. I used to laugh when the Americans are saying there's so much traffic. I'm like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm like, where? Something has not moved for 10 seconds and there's traffic. I'm like, oh, the other day they're complaining like, oh my God, why is there so much traffic? And I find it is so funny. The other day I was stuck coming from Nairobi going to Machakos. And we were stuck there at where the SGR is, what's the name of that place? The name is not coming. For 2 whole hours, we didn't move.
Just sit
and I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. Or even in America, you'll go for concerts, big concerts. There will be order. You will not waste 2 hours leaving that venue, going home. And I'm like, sometimes Kenyans, these things are not so complicated. It's just about order. It's order. You want to make 5 lanes where there's only 2 lanes. And then you want to get home in good time. No. Don't make 10. Yeah. And they're not, sometimes they're not even cops to ensure that there's order. But people just know this is the only way out. We are not making 10 lanes. Yes. Then something else, even like in the US, about even paying of taxes. Yeah, we are heavily taxed. But at the end of the year, the government will look and see, we tax these people this much. Then they give you a tax refund. Yeah, so you're like, okay. Yeah. In fact, when I came, I was like, oh no, I'm not going to have a salary. Oh, quickly, let me file my taxes. I'm going to get my money for last year. So in 2021, hey, I'm there asking, has my check come? Quickly, bank it for me. Let me get my dollars. You know? Yeah. So systems that work. And I think sometimes that's why when Kenyans or other people go to foreign countries, it's not that that country really is better than Kenya, but it's just that some systems make life easy.
Some of us, and some of us in leadership and in spheres of influence have traveled. They know this thing. In fact, we love doing our meetings out there. Would rather discuss poverty in some city out there and spend a bit. But then we come back and we do nothing about our system. So that's what really annoys me. But first, let's look at the downside of the other side.
So the downside of being in the diaspora, for me, I would say it's the racism. Particularly, that was the biggest downside for me. I was fortunate to like not be to be able to understand culture and whatnot. So culture shock wasn't a thing for me going there. And I found that even though culturally I understand them, I get it, because of my experiences here, being in British system schools here, I got the banter there, I got the humor, I was able to understand the people. But you also find that as much as culturally you get it, you will always be a foreigner to them because of the way that you look. So for me, what that meant was that it's easy for people just to dismiss you because of the way you look. And then you say you're from Kenya, an African country. They already have this whole perception that, you know, you don't know anything, that you're not educated, that you really do live in a mud hut. So they come with that. Somewhere? So you can see that there's no respect for you. You can see that they look at you some type of way. So you have to prove yourself twice as hard, twice as much, for them to be like, oh, okay, you're not who I thought. I remember getting an essay back from our lecturer, and I remember him pointing out my essay in particular and saying that he enjoyed it. He thought I structured it well, and he basically told people, you know what, you should read her essay to get an example. I remember giving it to some of my classmates, and they were shocked. One of them was like, wow, you have better English than me. And I thought, like, why wouldn't my English be good? You know, why? Like, what did you think it would be like? So I haven't enjoyed those stereotypes and being judged because of them. And again, like with the whole racism thing, I feel like that will be something they'll never get out of their system. You know, even their own systems. And I hate to say this, as much as I benefit from the fact that they're efficient, their own systems to me are racist. You know, if you go to a hospital, you may find that, you know, a white person will be served before you. You know, if we look at even statistics of pregnant women, Black women in the UK, they're more likely to die during childbirth. You know, you find that a lot of people there feel like, oh, Black people don't feel as much pain. So you're not taken care of as well. It goes into their systems and their institutions, how they treat you, how they view you, you know, how their systems sort of have an order of way to do things, and you find that order will benefit a white person more than a Black person. You know, so as much as even people will say like, oh, it's class, you know, perhaps it's the lower class that just won't get the benefits as the higher class, but you also see that it's usually the Black people in the lower class. And why is that? Is it because they weren't given opportunities? And they're not given opportunities because they're not educated. But why are they not educated? Is it because the education in their areas isn't that great? So it's a domino effect of, you know, I feel racism in the systems that actually in a negative way affects them when they go into the outer world. So when you see how ingrained it is, and because when they look at you, the first thing they'll think is you're just a Black person, you're instantly going to be judged because of that. So in order for you to be like, okay, no, I work hard and, you know, I'm a person who cares and all of this, you have to prove yourself twice as hard.
How do you compare the two worlds?
Again, it's not like Kenya is perfect. It has its own downside, but coming from an environment like that and you come back home, the first thing that I always appreciate is the fact that I know this is my country. No one can tell me to get out of here, you know? And I think I underestimated the feeling of what home feels like. You know, it's a feeling like, you know, this is your home. And what in turn it's made me want to do is have pride in my culture and really promote it and really be like to the rest of the Kenyans, like, we have something to be proud about. You know, they really think down upon us in the Western world. Let's prove to them that we're not. You know, civilization started in Africa. The Western people came here so that they could learn how to do things. You know, let's reclaim that. We are smart. We're not who they think we are. You know, we're capable. Yes, our government has failed us in some areas. They don't nurture that. But if we are serious about it, we as communities can come together and uplift each other without that, you know, without so much of the government's help. We also can do things for ourselves. And it's made me realize how it is important for us to take pride in who we are and be proud of our culture and actually want to showcase, you know, ourselves in front of the world and not feel undermined by them and not let them get to us and make us feel like, okay, Black people aren't smart, you know, Black people just don't know how to do things, you know. Let's pick ourselves up and not always look at the white man as the savior and not always feel like, no, we have to follow their lead. We're smart enough to figure things out for ourselves, but it takes now, I think, starting with that confidence of self-love, you know, you loving yourself, loving the people around you, loving your community, loving your country, loving your continent, so that it can have that domino effect for our future generations to come as well.
There is hope, and we're not that bad. Well, the longest time I've been out continuously is 1 year, and guess what? I missed dust. Dust! I mean, yeah, maybe we are accustomed to being dusty and also a bit of chaos. Sometimes it's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, funny you say that. The one thing I missed one day was just being in a matatu. I was like, why would I miss being in a matatu? I used to be in matatus for such a long time, like when I'm moving from Langata, going all the way to Lavington. Then one day I just missed it, you know, because anyway, I used to spend a lot of time praying as I'm stuck in traffic. I mean, just that quiet moment. Yes, I mean, life in these countries, like in the US, was good in certain ways, but then in other ways, you're like, oh my goodness, I really miss home. I missed Kenyan food. I would go buy a banana. I'm like, my God, I'm missing banana. I love bananas. I'm like, a Kenyan banana, a Kenyan mango. Not just the taste, how food tastes so differently, like chicken or the beef. And then you try to import them. They're so expensive. You're like, okay, let me just forget about that one. Yes, but there's so much beauty in Kenya, you know, so much, you know, vibrantness with the people, you know. I'm not saying Americans are not friendly, but it's just a different culture, you know. Something that I read about, even about culture shock, that, you know, the culture of a certain country is made to make its citizens comfortable, not foreigners. So you will go there, you struggle, and until you come to an understanding. You are the foreigner. Yeah. So they're not there to please you. They're not there to entertain you. So it's for you. If you find the people are cold, just know this is going to be your reality for however long you're going to be there. Yes. But you know, I think sometimes, and I'm sure every Kenyan who has gone whichever country, they just sit down and they miss, my God, with all the craziness Kenya can offer, with what, there's just something else you will never find. Yes. And something else that I appreciated in my years of being in the US was the power of being a citizen. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I used to take it for granted or it was just something I never thought about when I was in Kenya.
You were just born.
I'm at home. You go somewhere, you cannot be denied service because I'm a Kenyan. But I remember this one time I was sick. So I was looking for a cover. So the person said, do you have insurance? I didn't have insurance. So they said, okay, how long have you been in the US? So I think by that time I'd been there a year or two. So they said, I'm sorry, we can't offer you this because you've not been here. If you're not a citizen and you've not been in this country for 5 years, then you cannot qualify for this. Like with the kind of visa that I went to the US, meant I could only work for that church that took me there. So I cannot find a second job. I cannot do anything. Then I'm thinking if I was in Kenya, I could even have like 10 jobs. The power of just being a citizen.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think we
We
do not
underestimate.
understand. Oh
We
my
underestimate,
goodness.
yeah.
You would need to be a foreigner to understand the value of being a citizen. Yeah, as Dorcas was saying, nobody can chase you from Kenya.
No.
You want to go where I can go anywhere in this country that I want.
Yeah.
You can work for anybody. If I find this job and I don't like it, I can move.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
But in the US, you are there on a certain kind of a visa.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not moving.
Wow.
Yeah, but I just thank God that the people I went to work with were nice. I never thought of, changing my job or anything of the sort. But I'm just thinking, hey, we should appreciate that you're a citizen of a certain country. Don't take it for granted.
We're talking about mindset, we're talking about attitudes and the opportunities therein at home or even out there. Let's talk a bit about our Christian values and how that has impacted your journey, your education journey, your pursuit in business, and just how you take life and how you are able to adjust to the different situations.
As much as different countries have different rules, I always think God owns this. So God has the authority to tell me what I can and cannot do. So even as much as I may be in the UK and someone will try and make me feel like I need to go back to my country, I know that it is because of God's authority that I am there. So as much as you want to make me feel like I need to get out, I'm not welcomed. In his name, I am welcomed.
I'm a child of God.
Yes. So it's given me the confidence that I needed and has really helped me during those times when I felt homesick. So it's something that I will say is the reason I've been able to go beyond surviving and start to excel abroad. And I don't take God for granted and my faith for granted, because it is truly for me what I stood on and was my strength there. And like you said, as much as I'll understand the culture, the banter and everything, I feel like you will never feel 100% welcomed, or you're only wanted there for a certain amount of time. You're only wanted there because foreigners bring in money. So you're only wanted because of the money you guys bring in. You're only wanted for this. You're only there to be sort of, sometimes you'll feel like you're only there to be used for something. So knowing that actually the reason why I'm here is not because I'm to your benefit. It's because of God's plans for me that he has for me. That's a chapter in my life where I get the education that I need so I can progress further, and progress in the way God wants me to progress. So it helps remind me that there's a bigger picture and the purpose isn't just that moment. There's a bigger purpose as to why I'm there. So it has been my strength completely.
Wonderful. That's a story for another day, Dorcas. Would love to have you on this show again. But I remember this girl was at Westgate.
No.
Inside there. I think that's a story for another day. You, viewer, you want to hear about that. She's a miracle. So faith in God. Mercy, we are winding up. And so I want you to take a minute and talk to us about, starting to take responsibility and living out our Christian faith. Relate that with the way you were detained at the airport, and you just told the truth and the whole truth, and we proceeded on.
With the truth.
Yes.
Yes. So in my YouTube channel, I talk about how I was detained, how my dream in the US would have died even before it began. Yes, so I was detained there because when they asked me how long I was going to stay and how much money I had, the person felt like the two were not relating, because I only had $1,000 on me, and then I was going to stay for 4 months. So it's like, how are you going to survive on that? So anyhow, when they were interviewing me, I was like, when I went there, I was invited for a month, but then the story changed to 4 months. Then anyway, I ended up staying for 4.5 years. So, but as they were interviewing, I just said the truth. And I'm like, if you detain me here, I'm praying. And I'm like, God, maybe these people have assumptions. But they're thinking maybe I'm running away from Kenya. I'm moving to the US. But I just told the truth. Then after a while, they were like, okay. The guy was like, okay. I gave him all the records. They called the person they even had to call to confirm, were those people expecting me? Did they know me? Then the person was like, yes. We're waiting for her and she's coming for this duration. And then they let me go.
That's part of your faith journey also. In all this, and what has kept you going?
Yes.
What else has kept you going?
We were invited for a wedding my first year. And this, whenever they hear you talk, they know instantly you're not American. So where are you from? So he was just asking me about my experience, and I was talking about how Americans are very liberal. So, at one point he was like, you're so closed-minded or you're so conservative. And I was laughing, and I'm like, especially if you're a Christian and you go to this, either in Europe or in North America, you will face that. If you are a strong Christian, your Christianity will be tested. There are so many things that are, even Christians do in America, but Christians in Kenya, that thing may be looked down upon. So you have to understand yourself and say, this may be acceptable, but is it beneficial? Just as Paul said, I think when he was talking to the Corinthians, that everything may be permissible, but of what value is it to you? So when you are a Christian, you will constantly have to, keep saying, I don't do this. Even if they make jokes, they laugh at you, call you names. At the end of the day, I only have one person to answer to, and it is God.
And that is God
yes,
himself.
Has God said this can be done? If it cannot, then I'm not arguing. You can do it. That's okay for you, but it's not okay for me. So as I'm letting you be who you are, also let me be who I am.
There are things that glitter. Some of them are truly gold because there are opportunities at home or even out there. Wow, I must thank you very much for finding time to be with us. Time flies. And I think we need more of these conversations. We will be engaging you in future for more of these conversations. Thank you very much for sharing your lives, your experiences. And I believe we have inspired someone out there who is maybe in between there, wondering what steps they need to make, and also wondering what is it that happens on the other hand. What God has given us, we need to look at the gaps, fill them up, look at the opportunities, take them. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Rays of Hope. Thank you very much for keeping it CAC TV. Thank you very much. Please take care. And remember that there's hope. There's hope because our hope is founded on Jesus Christ himself. So keep hope alive. Take care, and may the Lord bless you.